Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour Podcast.
Yes, hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 295. Thank you for joining us tonight. Bri, news for the show. This should be the last week with the old girl, the old computer. Hopefully after this, no more goddamn robot sounds during the course of recording, multiple start and stops, unlistenable audio. It's been a thing.
You beat the porn into her good, Jim, and she finally took her beating long enough.
Did I ever?
So, is your thing being assembled or done now?
Being assembled. It's almost done.
Okay. Jim, not to jinx you, but your luck with having people do things for you always turns into a very long wait and see. So, how reliable do you think? If you were a betting man...
Oh no, it'll be done this week. It's a guy who loves doing this crap. So, the only reason it didn't happen this week is because I bought too big of a case, so I actually had to buy an extender cord for the power supply to get to the motherboard.
Yes.
Yes, Brian. Damn it.
What's funny is I've put together computers and I've disassembled and put in parts, but I've never wanted to pull the trigger to get all the parts and assemble a whole one from scratch. Because, I'd be afraid of just, one thing gets touched. Or, I don't feel like troubleshooting.
I was an annoying little baby dick with my IT guy at work. I was like, does this look good? How's this one? Is this good? Is this good for the price? What about this? It was just like, fuck, yes, just buy them.
So, Chambers, yeah, so you're going to get your new computer next week, the new and improved Jimmy Baby. What beer are you having this week to kind of ship this computer off? I hope it's a good one. Don't show me no bullshit.
Right, no bullshit indeed. This week from the Susquehanna Brewing Company, I am having, first off, their Suck on This Sour Series Watermelon. So this is 5% alcohol by volume, no write-up, but... yeah, it comes from good old Susquehanna Brewing up close to Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area, all up in middle, northern, eastern Pennsylvania. I've had some of their other sours before, and they've been really goddamn good. And I gotta say, man, I'm already halfway done this, so this will be one of those nights where Jimmy goes through a few things. This is delicious. Watermelon beers can be really hit or miss. Hell or High Watermelon's very solid. It's an easy drinker, but it's on the lighter side. Yards has a watermelon, but it's not great. It's almost more overly citrusy without being that you know what this is? This is more watermelon candy flavored instead of actual watermelon flavored, and I think I like that more. So it's definitely on the sweeter feel with a heavier mouthfeel. But you know how watermelon candy tastes slightly different than actual watermelon? Even though it's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's more on that edge kind of deal.
Yeah, watermelon, to your point, Hell or High Watermelon, when I think watermelon beers, it's the first one I go to. And I feel like if I've tried other watermelon, it's been one or two. And it's funny because in everything else, watermelon gets whored out. So maybe I just don't try enough watermelon beers. But I suffer from the same thing. I don't... I love a cold watermelon on a summer day, but artificial watermelon is so fucking hit or miss. So,
yep.
Would you put that above Hell or High Watermelon?
It's been so long since I've had one. I can't say right now, but I'm gonna have the in-laws next time they come down go grab me a couple 6-packs of this, and I'll get some Hell or Highs and do a little comparison.
Okay. Maybe we just need to. Maybe that'll be a summer thing. We get all the watermelon beers and do a little taste tester.
I mean, I think we should. We got to do it for the people, Brian.
Man, you've been Mr. Fruity Beer. I feel like every other week you're just drinking candy anymore.
Yeah, kind of. Fuck it.
Is old Jimmy just becoming a sweet tart ass? Is that what you're telling me?
Basically. We went out for Valentine's Day to our favorite local spot, and they had this one sour beer, and yeah, I just kept getting that all night. And it's delectable. But yeah, my wife was just like, are you going to get any other beer? I was like, nah. And I had 5 of them. So, I liked what I liked, and I got it, and I was a happy boy.
So I actually haven't drank anything since last Tuesday or Wednesday. Lucky me on Thursday. I don't know what it was. Here's the deal. Everyone in my house at some point over the past month or so has had a stomach bug. I don't know if it was a norovirus. It's like basically been a 24-hour, tops 48-hour like stomach bug. I get this one burrito place downtown all the time when I go to lunch, and I had it. I can always finish one of those burrito bowls. This time I could not. And I was like, oh, my stomach doesn't feel good. I'm driving home and like clockwork, I'm around the corner from my house. I'm like, yep, that's going to be a puke. And you know me, I can call my pukes very well and I can contain them very, very well. Like you've never actually seen me, I think, puke. You've always seen me say, I'm about to go puke, but I don't just like do it. I got home and like I laid down. I was like, oh, maybe it's just a burp. Sure enough, I puked and it was pure projectile all in the toilet, but it was forceful to like the point where I'm like one of those like yelling pukes, like, ah! Like it hurt to do it. So it was just a pure food. And yeah, so over the course of 3 days, I probably lost like 7 pounds because I didn't eat shit. And I certainly haven't touched alcohol. That's part of it.
It's one way to do it.
Yeah. So today was my first day back. And the stores are getting filled, getting ready for St. Patty's Day, Chambers, just like my house already is. I had to go back to an old classic, the Guinness Extra Stout, not the regular. And, you know, just like we used to back in the day when we reviewed beers, we always did like in the bottle and out of the bottle. I was like, you know what, I'm going to start this off in the bottle because based on our old reviews, I decided to reread it. It seemed like that was a better choice for this one. But yeah, no, I love the Extra Stout. It's got a little bit of a stronger flavor. It's only 5.6%, but it's a stronger flavor, I think, than a regular Guinness. I think the regular Guinness I prefer, but this is still a pretty good one. If for some reason you just don't like the regular style. So, getting in the mood, Chambers.
Interesting. But yeah, man, that is a thing where every once in a while, if I have a bunch of beer, I'll do that too, and I'll drink it out of a can or drink it out of the bottle, and then pour another one out and be like, I wonder what's the difference. And sometimes there's one, sometimes there's not much of one.
You and I think that's for all of our reviews that we shit on beers for price for a while, and you know we were also very thrifty back in the day, I'll say. So we had good reason because we're like a beer shouldn't cost this much, but like you're like,
oh, how naive we were.
Yeah. We did the proper thing of like, hey, you actually do get a better aroma sometimes in the bottle, or you do get a better taste. Like in general, craft beer, you should really like always pour into a glass. But I do think there are some, and this is one of them, that it's fine in a bottle. So sticking with it.
There we go. Speaking of sticking with it, Bri, I did a little game over the weekend, and I saw you were on Xbox still playing goddamn Red Dead. So I'm assuming that's what you've been mainly focusing on?
75% through the main story. I've slowed down the total time, but I think I said it last time. I'm so into it. I did have to take a detour for an Easter egg because there was basically a Nosferatu of the game that like if you find clues written around a certain town and then you pinpoint a certain location and go there a certain time, a dude that looks exactly like Nosferatu who's like claiming to be a vampire, you can confront him and end up killing him. So me being me, of course, excuse me, I had to do that. But no, the story, I'm into it. I don't know what it takes to beat the extra 25%, if that's like a 2-hour thing or a 10-hour thing. I can't ever tell with these fucking games. So, yeah. But that's all my focus. I've decided I'm not going to touch another game until this is done. I have RoboCop ready. I re-downloaded BioShock, that one. I have these games just chambered, ready to go. Yeah. How about you? I know you've been going all over the place, I feel like, getting games done left and right.
I mean, I haven't been doing I actually got some gaming in. So still playing through Pikmin. I'm like, so I think I mentioned it last week. You have 30 days to get your ship parts. I'm at like day 27 right now. And I'm like, shit, I'm not going to get all of them. But there's a chance you can fly away with enough pieces. So I don't know if I'm going to hit that threshold or not. So if I have to play through it again, I know I'm going to breeze through it because like I spent so many of the early days just like retreading steps of just like, what am I missing here? And then it turned out to be something stupid. So I wasted a lot of goddamn time. So if I have to go through the game again, I'm liking enough that I'm not going to hate myself for having to do that if I, don't get an ending that's good enough for this game. But, yeah.
And going through. How many endings did you say there were?
I don't know.
Oh. Do you even know if there's multiple endings?
I don't know. I could look it up, but I'm not going to look anything up until after my first playthrough's done. So we'll see. I'm assuming I'm going to get the bad ending no matter what.
Okay. Interesting.
Or one of the bad endings. Or maybe the less good ending. I don't know. I'm assuming that these are things you have. But, yeah, I also dipped my toes into Terminator Resistance. So I had a couple free hours, so I was like, might as well spend it in the game room. And booted that up, fresh off my RoboCop playing. It's the same developer. And it's good. It's definitely ripped straight out of the franchise. It is jarring to go from, like, PS5 graphics to original Xbox One graphics. So the load times and all that crap, like, there's some times where I'm just like, what the hell? Where, like, everything isn't popped in yet. But, yeah, it's very similar to RoboCop, but it's also different enough because you're a human resistance member, so it's more about stealth and, really managing your resources and some item crafting and crap like that thrown in there. Whereas in RoboCop, you're kind of just like a mobile tank. So two very similar but different play styles, but I'm liking it so far. It's telling a simple story up to now, at least. I'm like 3 hours in, where you're just, random guy, meeting up with a little group of resistance members, trying to find the rest of the resistance, all that kind of good stuff. A mysterious guy's trying to guide you along the way. So, yeah, it's so far so good.
Nice. So you've been on a pretty good tear with your games. What is the longest game in your list?
That is a good question.
I would imagine it's, if I can remember your games, Black Myth is probably going to be the longest.
It's either going to be Black Myth or Stellar Blade. I forget which one's longer. I'm assuming Black Myth is, since that's like a Souls copy game.
So, okay, if you get done, let's just say Jimmy's uber productive, and you get all this done by June or July. What game are you returning to? Are you going to finally go back to Elden Ring and get it done?
Maybe I'll finally get, like, I stopped at like the 25-hour mark. It's like, I've really made it a thing for myself to put a lot more time into my PS5 this year, so no better way to do it than with that goddamn game. So that might be the one. That might be the whole rest of 2025 project, depending on how fast I get these games done.
That would be interesting. It's funny because I've come up with so many more games I wish I would have put back on my list, but I didn't because I was like, fuck. But they are a lot of, I call them cleanup games, the games in the past I wanted to get done. So I'll see. Like I said, depends how fast I can blow through a couple after Red Dead, because this is a long motherfucker. And I still got God of War and Black Myth. So Jesus. I got some beast in there. So, but the good news is, Chambers, we are all caught up as of right now, except for X-Men, which that's not a very long game, because those two I can blast through, honestly, in a couple nights. But we are caught up on our Patreon request. So what questions do we have this week?
Right, good news. We're caught up on our Patreon questions because we don't have any this week.
I mean, it's like we're fully productive here, Tim.
Right, we're ahead of the curve. So since people don't want to learn from us, why don't you help learn for yourself by heading on over to Skillshare using our code DBPG30 and get 30% off 1 year of classes. So, for one class, obviously. But yeah, head on over there. It's a good service. And head on over to Patreon for as little as $2 a month. You can ask a question on each and every episode of this Power Hour podcast. Going up, you get video game review requests and bonus episodes. And for as little as $1, you get bonus segments for the podcast and whatever little random videos we make from here to there.
Yeah. No, guys, like I said, get your questions in. We always appreciate it. We have the bonus content, more to come. So, yeah, we really appreciate the support. And if you are supporting us already, make sure, take advantage of it. With that, guys, we want to say thank you all.
Yep, and if you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, should be fixed soon, Brian. Apple or Podbean, make sure to go on to all the other services, give those likes, give those subscriptions, leave some comments, leave some reviews. Anything you can do will help the page.
Yeah, thank you guys. Truly appreciate it. All right, Chambers. So,
Brian, I got a new beer.
Damn it, Jim. What kind of beer did you get?
Also from the Susquehanna Brewing
Fuck.
Company. Tee-hee. I'm drinking their Raz the Roof, ale brewed with raspberries. 4.2% alcohol, so this is going to be a light one, but that is as red can be when it comes to these beers. So that is
Jim,
a raspberry aroma right there.
What I'm going to guess is you did that strictly for your boy Hulk Hogan, who's in a little bit of trouble.
That poor... Right, when we talk about victims here, he's the real victim, all right? Because he's in a little bit of a tizzy. A little tiff, you could say. And by tiff, I mean lawsuit. Because him and his beer company, The Real American Beer, are being sued by Michelle Haruklowitz. Halukowitz. An Akron, Ohio woman who claims that she was injured after being hit in the head with a sealed beer can during a promotional event. The lawsuit, filed on February 10th, 2025, accuses Hogan, his promoters, and the venue, Thirsty Cowboys, all right, sounds like a gay club, of negligence for their role in the incident, which occurred on August 19th, 2024. So they were hyping up the crowd by throwing free beer cans to the attendees. She was standing near the back of the venue and alleges that she was struck in the forehead by the can thrown from approximately 50 feet away. She did not see it coming and sustained a wound that required nearly 10 stitches, leaving her with a scar. And the photo looks like she got beamed in the head with a beer can. Like, it's a perfect circular bump on her head with a big old gash in the scars and the stitches and all that shit. So her attorney, Eric Tafel, criticized the event's management, stating that attendees would not have to worry about being hit with beer cans at a promotional gathering. Medina Township Police responded to the scene but did not file criminal charges, as they were unable to determine who threw the can. The lawsuit holds Hogan, the event promoters, and Thirsty Cowboys responsible, arguing that the venue should have ensured the safety of its patrons. She is seeking damages for medical costs, pain, suffering, and emotional distress.
You know, Jim, there's one thing that reads really clear to me with this. She's not an Eagles fan, because Howie Roseman could get fucking pegged in the head very early on during the parade. And guess what? Did he give up, Jim? Did he need medical costs and pain and suffering? Or did he continue and even give a speech about how he bleeds for this city? Nice big nice big can mark on his head as well. I don't know if he ended up with stitches. I know he was bleeding a little bit, but did he stop?
That there's actually like a picture of him out there with the fresh cut on his head, smoking a cigar, and it's the hardest looking fucking picture of all goddamn time. It's awesome. And that bleed for your city line, genius.
Perfect.
You know he did that right off the top of his head too. So, I mean, after seeing Howie do that, you look at this and you go, well, boo-hoo. But, I mean, the beer was thrown up towards him. This, probably unfortunately for this poor woman, I'm assuming that they're, promotional event, they're on a stage. Gravity took over, a little extra force, F equals MA, Brian, as we know in the biz. And, gave her a good little clocking, a little shellacking, one could say. So
here's the deal, Jim. In this day and age, I don't want anyone getting hurt at any event unnecessarily. Now, all I heard is promotional event. Was the promotional event for this beer?
Was it for other Thirsty Cowboys? Huh?
I'm asking the question because if you were going to a promotional event and it's for a beer and there's a high likelihood of doing this, what's the probability she was maybe just head down looking at her phone, not paying attention?
There's, especially from where it hit, like almost dead center at the top of the head, there's probably a pretty good chance.
So where's the personal responsibility there, Jim? That's
her
my
husband
question.
and her boyfriend probably drug her out. It's like, oh, Hulk Hogan's going to be there. And she's like, oh, God, isn't he like 100 now? And she's just standing in the back, minding her own business, probably checking the TikToks of the day, and bam, right in the head.
I'm just, listen, she clearly got, there's no denying she got fucked up by it. But is it kind of like I don't know. Not being in that situation, I'd feel kind of weird. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way and claim emotional distress and all these other things for getting hit in the head with it. It's like,
Look, Brian, it's going to be one of two things, all right? It's either going to be, she doesn't have insurance and crap like that, really needs the money to take care of this expenses that she wasn't expecting to happen. Maybe she missed a couple days of work from it. Who knows? Or she saw Hulk Hogan and dollar signs and went ka-ching. Who am I to say, Bri?
Here's the deal. With things like this, though, like, his level of being involved probably goes as far as, like, oh, yeah, you need me to read this thing for it? You want to use my name and my likeness for all this shit? Yeah, go ahead. Like, that's it. Like, whereas, like, Stone Cold, at least from what I've seen, he's actually, like, tasted beers. He's in there. Like, he's more involved. I can't imagine Hulk really doing more than just, like, what? Oh, what thing am I doing now? Okay, cool.
And, like, the dude can barely walk anymore, so I doubt he's, like, chucking beer cans all night into a crowd. So I kind of doubt he was the one doing it. Like, if you saw him when he was on Pat McAfee and he, like, walked in, like, he was barely able to move there. I think he held on to Jimmy Hart for a little while getting up there, too. So, that dude's, he's pretty busted up. Not to say that someone working for the Real American Beer Company wasn't going, woo, beer, you know, throw him out to the crowd. Because, I mean, if I was at a beer promotional event, I would want free beer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jim, when you go and you get pegged, don't blame it on the promoters.
Pegged how? Now, when you say pegging, Brian.
Damn it, Jim. I'm not.
Right. Am I getting pegged in the alley or the alley?
I don't. Either. No. You know what? I'm not even touching it. I'm just going to say no. You son of a bitch.
Shorty D out. Yes.
So, yeah, I love a good hit in the head with a beer can. But
Brian also loves peggings.
Damn it, Jim. It was
Confirmed.
perfectly timed with Howie Roseman. I'll say that. Like, when you first put that, I was actually expecting a link to also mention that. And I was like, oh, man.
I was just going to bring that up off the cuff, but you did it for me.
Well, that's what you get.
You know what else you get, Brian? Speaking of lawsuits, why don't we keep talking about this ongoing little bit of drama between one Nintendo and one Pal World? They are not stopping this shit. They are determined.
They're such... Dude, an article... We knew this was coming. We knew they were going to do it. And we know that the ridiculous shit they're willing to patent is crazy. But now they're trying to issue... specifically anti-Pal World patents. And since 22 out of 23 were rejected, and they're going to keep fighting it. Like, this article also brings up the fact that, like, Pokemon sued a company in, where was it? Ecuador? Or, like, somewhere that was, like, run by, like, a 50-year-old who, like, just made, like, a promotional reference to... Yeah, in Costa Rica. 50 years old grocery store in Costa Rica that basically... They did, like, promotional whatever that happened to be like Nintendo stuff, and they sued them. Like, at what point do you make so much money that you need to just let some shit go? Now, I'm not saying Pal World falls in there, but I'm just saying, like, I'm sick of Nintendo with their patents on some stuff, but I am kind of happy they're getting rejected left and right. That warms my heart a little bit.
Yeah, so this article comes to us from Windows Central. And yeah, so most of this lawsuit so far between Nintendo and the makers of Pal World has been going, Pocket Pair is the company, it's been going on, which I gotta say, if you're making a Pokemon ripoff, having Pocket in your name, kind of a ballsy move. But it's been happening mostly in Japan at this point. But in the United States, they've been moving over. And as you said, so far 22 of their 23 patent requests have been rejected. So one that went through is the process of aiming and capturing characters. So it was filed for after Pal World's launch, but in patent law, companies often build patent families where the latter parents are connected to earlier filings. It's legal, but is not a good look, according to the article. And yeah, back this past December, Pal World's had some DLC come out, which saw it reaching up to 200,000 concurrent players, which is it's pretty goddamn good. And yeah, Nintendo is not taking this lying down. And the article further goes into how all this patent filing could lead to a potential lawsuit in the States as well, which is probably what's going to happen. If it fails in Japan, they'll just go country after country after country probably until they make something stick. It'll be like, it's going to be like, you know, when Microsoft was buying Activision and like everyone under the sun was throwing their lawsuits that way to try and stop it.
Here's my question. Put aside Nintendo being a dick shit for 1 minute. is Pal World doing good actually hurting Nintendo in any capacity? Or do you think most people playing that probably also just like Pokemon? What's this about? Like, it's not robbing people of, like, who are diehard Pokemon fans and they're like, oh no, I've now moved over here. It's like, you can play both.
Yeah, and like from what I've seen, I haven't played Pal World, but from what I've seen, it's a pretty different game.
It's very different because there's guns and other shit. Like, don't get me wrong. Yes, the generic idea, but it's more like, it actually reminded me more of that, what's it called? Valhalla, the Viking game where, like, you build shit.
Okay.
Like, that idea just mixed, if you put that world with Pokemon things, that's kind of what you have. Like, now there's a million games like Valhalla and Rust and other games like that where you just, mine it, like Minecraft, but more realistic Minecraft is how I put it. But like, yeah, it was nominal. It was fun, but like it didn't blow me away. But it also wasn't, other than the idea of like the creatures being these things that you catch and do this, it didn't read exactly like Pokemon. You could tell it was inspired by it, right? But it wasn't like a direct, oh my God, like, but doesn't everything borrow from everything anyway?
Yeah, like I even think Pokemon borrowed, I'm pretty sure Monster Rancher. I'm pretty sure Monster Rancher came out before Pokemon, if I remember correctly.
It's good. Yeah, maybe.
I guess I could look this up. I do have the internet right in front of me, at my fingertips even.
So here's my question. Is Pal World now, you think, it's been going for a while, do you think it's too big to fail at this point? Like,
let's
with all
see
these
here.
patents?
Brian, shut up a second, you dirty whore.
You son of a bitch.
Monster Rancher 1, released November 30th, 1997. Red release date. Oh, February 27th, 1996. I am wrong. Pokemon was before. All right. Well, fuck me then.
You dumb motherfucker. Like,
ow. Ow. Sir.
But no, so, okay, here's my question. Like, with Pal World already going, I guess without, like, if Pokemon won that first one about how to aim and whatever, is this going to actually stop Pal World?
No, it's not going to stop Pal World, but like the article says, it opens up to more potential. Because apparently they're seeking $66K in damages so far. And, like, it's a really small amount by Nintendo standards, but it opens the door to more shit and to other developers in the future, too. So right now, they're just throwing shit at the wall to try and, make precedents, basically.
How much do you think Pal World has made?
It's a good question. Probably a couple mil at this point, you would think, right?
According to internet, which never lies, it's shy of 500 million.
Oh. All right.
It's made a few shekels.
It's a good chunk of change. Yeah. Once again, Pokemon still as a brand blows it out of the water, but like it's a good chunk of change.
Let's see if there's a number to that. How much total?
Oh God.
Has Pokemon? I want to just write like franchise made. Oh, Jesus Christ. So Pokemon is the highest grossing entertainment media franchise of all time. How much would you just guess?
50 billion.
Add 100 to that, Jim.
Oh, cheese and crackers.
So even though I just said Pal World might have made 500 million, that is a blip on the radar. That is Pokemon. Like, do you really fucking need to worry about Pal World when you've made 150 billion? God.
Jesus Christ. Bri, Pal World's earnings by comparison are a meager 0.3%.
That's what you got to worry about these days, Jim. The 0.3 percenters.
That's what you got to go for, Bri. You got to get those blips on the radar. It's the US8 of what do you call it? Monster collecting kind of things.
I was gonna say,
take it out.
It's that Doge of all this, right? Like it's worry about the things that are tiny, not the big things. Worry about those little things, Jim. That's
right.
What's important.
A win is a win. Life.
I can never like. I want a good feel good story from Nintendo one time. That's all I want, Jim. That's it. But no, Jamers.
Yeah,
I think
it's never like Nintendo helps a sick, crippled kid with cancer. It's always just like Nintendo kicks a sick, crippled kid with cancer down the stairs for emulating their games. That's what it always turns into.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he was wearing unlicensed Nintendo pajamas, so they sued him on the way out too. It's like, what the fuck, Nintendo? But Jamers, I think the biggest news gaming-wise since the last time we spoke was the PlayStation State of Play. And, you know, if I'm being completely honest, I kind of feel like it came and went. Like, I heard a lot of hype before it, and there was a couple games, and we'll hit on most of them, but just before we even talk about the games, would you agree, like, as the guy that's online, that there's probably, like, way more, like, just, oh, man, this is going to be great, and then it came, and everyone's like, oh, okay, they did this.
Yeah, like, Brian, do you remember when Gabbo came to town, and he took Itchy and Scratchy, so Krusty had to play that Russian cat and mouse cartoon? And at the end, he just had their cigarette hanging out of his mouth going, what the hell was that? That seems to be basically the response to this State of Play that we just had.
Yeah, I am so underwhelmed. And here's the I don't get hype. I don't have expectations for any of these things. But I feel like most of the time when we talk about them, I see the games, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's like a lot. And I'm not saying there's nothing here. I'm just saying, like, for PlayStation being so, like, heavy in first-party games and what they bring to the table, it's a weak showing. But let's start looking at them.
And, like, before we get into it, like, I just want to say, like, I watched it shortly before we recorded, and I went, Yeah. It was a very big ball of, okay, that looks all right. That looks all right. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I'll probably never play that, but that looks all right. So, yeah, let's go through the games, Brian.
Well, and that's my question. Like, every one of these is supposed to have that one game that's like, oh, okay, that's clearly the one everyone's waiting for. I don't know what that one is this time, Jim. I have my own personal one, but I don't know. But yeah, let's start us off, Jim. What's the first one on this list?
All right, so I have a list here from IGN, because we also have a link to the video below if you want to watch the whole presentation. You kind of don't really have to. But so from IGN, it's out of order from how they presented it during the presentation, so keep that with a grain of salt. Saros, that game that's about, like, it's almost like that Tom Cruise movie from a couple years ago where he keeps dying and coming back to fight something or other. It didn't show any actual gameplay. It just showed footage.
What the fuck is that called?
You know, the subtitle was like Live, Die, Repeat, but I forget it had like a main title.
I know. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, you didn't play Returnal, right?
No, not yet.
So I have it. Same deal. I didn't play yet. It's a interesting way to take on the roguelike in a more realistic way. So I guess that movie actually was like the first movie roguelike, if you want to put it that way.
Or was it Groundhog's Day, Brian?
You might be onto something there, Jim. Are you saying Bill Murray is the godfather of roguelikes?
He's the original Hades, Brian. But yeah, it looks all right, but they didn't show any gameplay footage, so how much can you really say? It's like,
can I also say I'm fucking tired of deserts in video games? Like, I've never liked deserts in games. It's just part of the reason why I shit on New Vegas a little too much. I don't like it as an aesthetic. I don't like it as a mechanic. Like, there's just, because at the end of the day, its whole purpose of being is like null and void of anything. So as soon as I saw kind of a deserty thing, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of out. But to your point, knowing it's the same people that made
You heard
Eternal,
it here. You heard it here first, everyone. Brian hates the Middle East. Go on, Brian.
Damn it. Damn it, Jim. That's for the Patreons. But yeah, no, so I can't, if I play Returnal and it all of a sudden is like my favorite game in the world and they're proven, then I'll do exactly what I did with Returnal and just wait till it's cheaper, ask for it for like a birthday or Christmas gift, and try it out.
There you go. Next up, Days Gone Remastered. Who cares? Do you have anything to say to that, Brian?
I love the game. Stop with the fucking remasters. And I know there's new content and some other things. Stop with it. Just make a second one. If you're going to go through the effort, just fucking make the next one. That's all you got to do.
And it was a PS4 game, so you can just play it on your PS5. So you don't even need a remaster.
Yes. Yeah, I don't need, like, that game still looks fucking amazing. And I did play it on my PS5. And guess what? Felt good. So, yeah.
Yeah. What more needs to be said? Next up, Shinobi, Art of Vengeance. Published by Sega, made by the same people who did Streets of Rage 4. I'm optimistic about it. I think it looks good. It definitely looks like a love letter to Shinobi 3. So if they do to Shinobi what they did with Streets of Rage, I'm sure it'll be a good product.
Yeah. Were you into Shinobi as a kid?
No.
Me neither. I played it, but I can't honestly sit here and tell you I've ever actually beat it. To your point, I believe in the developer. I'm sure it looks fun. So, yeah, that's a cool, like, you know what it is? That's a cool, like, probably only going to take you a 4 or 5 hour game.
Yeah.
Great little time waster. I don't think it's a game a year type thing. Just if you want to whatever, I hope the price is marketed at how long it can last.
Yep. Next up, Warriors Abyss. Basically, Dynasty Warriors with roguelike elements thrown in now.
Dude, I fell in love with Dynasty Warriors before I even knew it was a thing. I got the one on PS2. I don't even know. I think it was like Extreme. I'd have to double check. I want to get into that franchise so bad, and seeing that, maybe that's my like return to the franchise. Like it's got me excited to try it. I'll say that.
Yeah, it might be interesting. Like I really liked Hyrule Warriors, which was Dynasty Warriors with Zelda. I played a little bit of Fire Emblem, their Heroes, their Dynasty Warriors spinoff game, and I kind of got bored of it quick. So I don't know. I don't know if I really need to have a franchise tied to it that I'm interested in, but being a roguelike, that could do it. Because, I mean, that'd be interesting to do a roguelike with billions of enemies coming at you all the time. So it's almost going to be like, you still have that strategy, but it's also just going to be such a shit show, too. I don't know. It would be fun. I know a lot of the diehards of Dynasty Warriors have been kind of souring on the games lately, so it might be that kind of jump to something different the franchise needs.
Or it could be the thing that cements it, like kills it, because isn't that what just happened to... Isn't that Veilguard's like number one argument? Didn't that changed styles and... Was it Veilguard or was it...
Dragon Age? Yeah, Dragon Age Veilguard.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but I mean, from all accounts, it was... I don't know, I didn't really anyone ever hear talk about the actual game. It was always just about the character creation and all the DEI shit. That's all I ever heard. So maybe there's a corner of the internet that I don't see that actually talked about the game and went, eh. But yeah, apparently that game still sold like decently well. It sold like 3 million copies or something. But unfortunately, their sales projections were like 10 million copies, which was BioWare. Which is BioWare being stupid because, like, there's been a couple Dragon Age games since Origins, and I think Origins was the last time they sold that much. So they keep trying to, like, chase that, like, pink elephant, basically, and they can't get it.
Jim, and I actually refuse to believe there's any corner of the internet you don't know. I kind of feel like you're the lawnmower man of modern day.
I might be, Brian. This might be my cross to bear. But, next up, Borderlands 4. I played some of the original, never played through completely any of them. It's a series I always wanted to kind of get into, but I also hear, like, the games, they get a little worse with each one you play, so I don't know. I'm not super excited to hop in on this one.
So, I absolutely love Borderlands 1. Borderlands 2, I've heard, is the best one, so I'm dying. Like, that, remember earlier I said there was games I, like, wanted to get involved with that like I wanted to put on my list, but I didn't. Like Borderlands is a series I need to finish because I enjoyed it so much, and I just miss those kind of over the top shooters, like the age of like Brink, Rage, and that's why like I guess I love Doom so much. Like it wasn't just a straight FPS; it was like that goofier element, and Borderlands really does it. I don't want to call it perfect, but they do it really well. The thing I am afraid of, and I think to what you're pointing to, is like I think the game just got a little out of control, and I'm not gonna lie, watching that trailer, I'm like, yeah, it still looks like the same old Border. Like I didn't see anything that made me go, oh, this is clearly how they're making it for a newer generation or better. It just looks like the same game, and maybe that's good. I don't know, but it didn't pull me in right away as somebody who just said, I really want to get back into all the other games. So I could be proven wrong, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, speaking of another series I never really got around to, Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, the remaster.
Mm-hmm. You and I have been talking about it because our buddy Jay keeps wanting us to play those games. And that's my number one regret, honestly, is back in the day, not getting into it from PlayStation. I've heard nothing but good thing from the game, so I have no real excuse as to why I haven't played them. I think I tried Metal Gear Solid at a really young age. I didn't get it. I didn't get the stealth part of it, and I sucked really bad, so I think it just turned me off, and I was like, okay, I'm not going back to that. But, yeah, it's another one. Do we need a remake instead of making a new one? Maybe. We've seen remakes for horror games that turned out well. I don't know if this remake does what like horror remakes do. I hope it does for the fans. But yeah, like you, I want to get into that.
Yeah, I only ever played the first one like probably like 7 to 8 years ago. I was still in my apartment at the time, and like I didn't even get past the first disc before I moved on to something else. Like it's a little aged, so maybe I should try like the remake that was on the GameCube because I have that too. But I don't know, it's definitely one I want to get to eventually. Next up, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, Sonic Racing games,
they're good. Like the racing
fine.
and transform, like those are good. I heard Team Sonic Racing was fine, and I'm assuming this is going to be more of that.
I have nothing good or bad to say. I got the Sonic Racing game for Logan because obviously he's obsessed with Sonic. I didn't think it was great. Didn't think it was bad. I was just like, okay, it's a thing to do with Sonic. So that's where I leave that franchise.
There we go. Next up, Digimon Story, Time Stranger. Didn't really show us much of anything gameplay-wise. I'm going to almost assume it's like... Because there's a Digimon game that came out like 3-ish years ago, and turns out to just be a visual novel. So I have to imagine this might be more the same, but I'm not 100% sure.
Knock it off with Digimon, okay? You are a straight up... You're talking about ripoffs of Pokemon. Stop it, Digimon. Just stop it.
Well, that actually started off... Right. That started off as a ripoff of Tamagotchi and not a ripoff of Pokemon. Because it was basically a Tamagotchi that you could connect with another one and fight your monsters. So it was a double ripoff is what you're telling me. Well, start with one, then with the other. You never know. Things happen.
No. Just stop it.
All right, moving on. Split Fiction. Basically the story of two fiction writers from different sides of the world whose writing makes them join together in the worlds that they write to save the world.
Why do I get shitty Mega Man and Iron Man vibes from the look of this?
I got a lot of Tron vibes from watching the trailer, too.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be like Ready Player One-ish, but without all the licenses and crap like that, if I had to guess. The thing I was most shocked about is that like all the usuals online didn't like talk about the, like it's not like the hottest character designs in the world or say, oh, this reeks of, DEI and Western game development crap. It's just like no one talked about it. So I don't know. It might be okay. I don't fucking know. It's not what I'm going to go out of my way to play.
I think this is one where it's not going to be about the gameplay. It's going to be about the story, and I'm not going to lie. It looks to me like you could probably give two fucks about the story. I could be wrong. It could be one, but like the way the trailer, like there's some cool looking gameplays. Like, yeah, 1 second you're this cybernetic centipede, then you're on dragons. Like, oh, cool. I get that It Takes Two vibe as well. You know, like that.
Well,
style.
it was made by the people who made It Takes
same
Two.
people.
So everyone seemed to love that game. That was Game of the Year like 2 years ago. So it has good bones. Like, it's got a good team behind it at the very least.
But yeah, no, the story I'm sorry. I don't need love stories in my video games.
Brian hates the Middle
For me
East, and
personally.
Brian hates women. Confirmed.
Damn it, Jim.
Next up, Lies of P Overture. I'm pretty sure this is just DLC for Lies of P.
It's just DLC.
Yeah.
So that's a big bucket of who fucking cares.
Yep. Next up, Lost Soul Aside. It looks like an action game that might be fine.
Yeah, I don't have you. Yep. Yes. I mean, when like, how many of these games, like when you see them, does your mind just automatically go like, oh,
Yeah,
it's nothing negative about the game. Like it looks, the presentation's good, the graphics look good, gameplay might be good, but I'm kind of like, okay.
Yeah, it looks like something I've seen 1,000 times before.
It looks like Final Fantasy to me.
Yeah. So Final Fantasy and I guess Stellar Blade and Devil May Cry-ish, if they all, and maybe some
It's a style I don't care about. Yeah, exactly.
Next up, Darwin's Paradox. 2D side-scroller with, using stealth and camouflage options where you play octopus to save the world from aliens. I thought it looked cute. It's nothing I'm going to go on my way to ever buy. But if it's
this is Jim's game of the year. That's Jim
probably
saying something looks cute ends up meaning
it's got charm, Bri. There's charm for days here. But again, I'm not going to go on my way to buy it. But if it's like free 1 month on PlayStation, I'll download it and give it a little go. Oh, speaking of, quick side note. After we talked 2 weeks ago about Multiverses shutting down, I loaded it up. I played it for an hour, and oh, did I fucking hate it. So there is no loss to gaming with that game shutting down. Just a quick aside.
See, I was terribly indifferent about it. What did you actually hate about it?
It just felt off the entire time. Like, yeah, like the combat and inputs were extremely simplified, which is fine. But just something about, like, the hitboxes and the timing of everything, like, even on the PS5, the performance, like, wasn't as good as I was expecting during the game. Like, the menus are just littered with all this bullcrap on there for, like, live service fuckery. For, like, oh, do this, go to this thing, do this customization, buy this, so here's another thing for skins, blah, blah, blah. I was just like... But like
too much.
Yeah, it was too much surrounding a very mid game. So it's a thing that basically went, we have all these licenses, that'll sell it, and that wasn't enough.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
But all right, moving on. Hell Is Us. I just watched it and I don't remember anything about it.
I'm trying to. I'm looking back at it because I watched everything. So, this one gave me what the fuck is the game that was just Callisto Protocol? Like, my God, Dead Space. Like, I know it's not in that exact vein, but when I see sci-fi, when I see all this, I don't know. That's where my mind goes. The gameplay also, like, oddly gave me, like, Star Wars vibes because I felt like the dude was carrying something that looked equivalent to a lightsaber. I don't know. It's another one because of the aesthetic. I'm not really probably going to go down it unless I hear really good things.
Yeah, next up, Metal Eden. Looks like a fun team shooter. The music during the trailer gave me like Streets of Rage 3 vibes, so I liked it for that. But outside of that, I looked at it and I went, yeah, it looks like it could be fun.
I'm always down with fast-paced FPSs. I just mentioned that with Borderlands, so I guarantee you won't be disappointed. I don't think it'll ever be a game of the year, but I think you'd have fun with it.
Yeah, next up, Tides of Annihilation. Another one I watched the trailer for, and I don't remember much of anything from what I saw. It's another good-looking game. I'll give it that.
Narrative-driven, action adventure or single player.
All right,
What's that game that is
crap I'll
everyone
never
playing
play.
right now? Is that what Avowed is right now?
Maybe, but apparently no one's playing Avowed because it's. Oh, Avowed is the the new Obsidian game. The like the new Skyrim-ish game, but apparently it's not that great.
Like then maybe that's not what I'm thinking. Yeah, I feel like there's a game that looks kind of like this that is getting shit on. And
It's another one. It's another one who's like 100 games that look like this. So I don't know.
I know. Yeah. So not for me, but
yeah.
like
Next. Yeah, it could be fine. Next up, Mind's Eye. They spent a lot of time on the presentation showing this one. For some reason, they showed the video for it almost twice. It's like
I don't know how to feel about
yeah, like you're a former soldier with a neural implant who's suffering from memory loss and flashbacks. Sent on covert missions to unlock his past in experimentation and unchecked military. It's like, okay, it might be fine.
Is this another one where like I can't tell? Is it trying to be like when I saw the driving in it? It gave me. There's a game that was driving like the way the driving looks made me remember how bad the game looked, or how bad this game was. And fuck, what was it called? It was a PS2 or PS3 game. Fuck, it's gonna bother me when I remember it. But yeah, it's like an action shooter, very cinematic. So in the same vein as your favorite type of games, Jim. All the PlayStation games that you love, you know? Probably a ton of movies that you're gonna have to skip through or listen to, followed by 20-30 minutes of action and then another 20-minute story. So
sign me up.
I know you're going to play this all the time.
Next up, Onimusha. They showed more of the trailer for it. For Way of the Sword, the new one. And they also wound up showing they're doing a remaster of Onimusha 2. Onimusha 2 was great. I played it back in the day. It'll be fun to play through again. And the new one, it's looking good. The new characters got some. They showed like some comedy scenes with them. There's some funny stuff going on. It looks beautiful. I have good hopes for it.
I think the worst part of the trailer from Onimusha so far is the actual trailer parts. Like I feel like the gameplay looks better than the trailers itself. Like the in-game movies.
Yeah.
Like the character model for the guy, there's something that's kind of goofy for me. But I said I was all about this, so yeah, I'll be playing this one for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know when, but yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely got more of a lighthearted vibe than like Samanosuke or Jubei had. So
maybe that's what it is. He's a little too clown. Like yeah, he's a little too good. Like I want my samurai serious. I don't need the Ryan Reynolds of samurai.
Well, I got like in the trailer they have a thing where it's like they're right behind me, aren't they? And then he's like running away. Like got a chuckle from me. You could see it coming, but like I was like, all right, that's a little different for Onimusha.
You're a simple boy, Jim. That's why there's a simple Jim drawing.
Next up, Dreams of Another. Like it looked like an interesting concept where it's like as you blow stuff up, it actually reveals more of the world for you to interact with. It's a heavy it's pixelized, but it's almost like not like it's 3D model, but like you're all like cubic chunks of a character instead of like a really detailed thing. It looks interesting.
Jim, as someone who's never dealt with psychedelics, I feel like this is a game built for someone who takes psychedelics.
Yeah, I never dipped into psychedelics either. So, right, it's time to start. Right, this time you take the reins.
No, Jim, you're already deep in that pool. I don't want to dip my toesies in.
I am retired. Next up, Monster Hunter Wilds. It's how they started off the presentation. I've never played a Monster Hunter. I know people love them. It's a series that, according to the fan base, is easier to get into with every successive entry. So, again, it might be more of that. It looks beautiful. It probably plays great. So, I'm assuming it'll be another hit.
It's a franchise I am interested in, but if I'm being honest, I'm never going to try.
Yep, that's fair. Next up, Directive 8020. You're on a spaceship, something crash lands, starts taking over the people on the ship, horror game. Nothing you haven't seen
Yeah.
before. Looks like it'll be fine.
Yeah. Horror, space horror is another one I'm over. That's a genre I feel like it's like zombies. It needs to calm down for a while before I care about it again.
And that's coming from Brian, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Next up, Five Nights at Freddy's, Secret of the Mimic. So, yeah, it's an actual, like, exploratory 3D game. Obviously, it's going to be horror-related. About, like, as one of the skeletons that can go into any costume and become basically that thing. So, looks like an interesting take on the franchise.
I'm fully for this just because Logan's going to... It's something me and him can play together. And I like it's back to a horror aspect of Five Nights at Freddy's. So, excuse me. So yeah, I'm all about this one.
Yeah, it looks like it'll be jump scares galore there.
Mm-hmm.
Midnight Walk. Basically, you're escorting around this little cup demon thing. The visuals are very reminiscent of like Tim Burton-ish Nightmare Before Christmas kind of vibe. Looks like another horror game where you got to protect him from demons that are around the world. I like the look of it. I don't know if it's going to be any good to play, but at least has an interesting style to it.
I don't remember anything about this one. So
That's a good sign.
yeah. No, this is the one that I don't remember. So I'm drawing a blank on that one, Jim. I'm going to say that.
All right.
So it must not have hit me very hard.
I guess not, yeah. Next up, Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Dude, another series, the Yakuza series, gaping hole in my gaming history.
Yeah.
Never played any of them. I mean, it's almost doing that thing that Assassin's Creed did like 12 years ago when they threw pirates and pirate ship fights into their game. People love the Like a Dragon / Yakuza series. So until they have a miss, I have to assume that this is going to be great, and it's probably going to take like 100 hours to beat like the rest of them.
Yeah, I'm like you. I also have probably the first 6 already downloaded from like old like games with gold or this or that. Just can't seem to get around to it, and I'm also kind of getting that feeling as well where I'm like there might be too many and I don't know if I'm really ever going to get into it.
Yeah. Next up. So this is showing Dave the Diver, but I don't remember Dave the Diver having a thing. I just remember them having a tie-in with Yakuza. So maybe that's it. That tie-in looked like goofy, like pixelated beat 'em up kind of thing.
Very, very pixelated. Like I don't know.
Old school retro-y. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be all right. Whatever. Next up, Splitgate 2. It's another team, like, massive 50 players to a map shooter, but you have like basically the portals from Portal as your gimmick. So might be fun. I mean, you have a billion
Gimmicky.
shooters. Yeah.
This could be, I whenever I see ones like this, I'm like, is this the next Titanfall? Like a unsung hero that could be way more fun than anyone gives it? Probably not, but
It had hope. It had that smooth looking gameplay at least. So
yeah, exactly.
Next up, WWE 2K25, another 2K game. They're touting this like WWE Island now, which is I guess like your central hub for going around the world and like create a character and making relationships in game and story mode shit. So at first I thought it was gonna be like a ripoff of the Battle Royale mode that the AEW game eventually threw in there, but it looks more just like kind of a gameplay hub thing. So I don't know. It's another WWE game. Probably
What was
fine.
the last wrestling game you actually played?
14.
Wow.
Well, no. AEW Fight Forever. That's the last one I played.
Okay.
That game
My thing
was not great. It was very fun. It's fun in very small doses. I will give it that.
So here's the deal. My wrestling, whatever WWE 2K I went up to, and I went up pretty high because I would always come back, especially when they would do attitude mode. All my fun was in like getting a shit ton of creative wrestlers and just kind of recreating franchises or running Raws or whatever. I didn't really give a fuck about the story modes. I didn't give a shit about online. Like that's all I really wanted out of my wrestling games. So And I feel like a lot of our friends who play wrestling games, that's all I see them do either, is like really do their like creative wrestling stuff and whatever. I'm curious, like if there is a split between people who actually play it online, who play it for the story, or just fuck about with creative wrestlers and then make the events themselves. Like, is this mode? I'm asking that because like this fucking like explore the hub and island. Like, is anyone gonna give a fuck about that?
I mean, I guess
Maybe.
it's cool they're doing something different. I don't know.
It's definitely. You know what? I get vibes of the what game? What Mortal Kombat was that? Where you were the character that then like walked around.
Oh yeah, was that like Deception or Deadly
or
Alliance?
one of those.
I think it was Deception, maybe. Yeah, where you were like the new hero and you had to go around the world and crap like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like they throw it in, you're like, okay, but it didn't stick for a reason. So I guarantee you this will be like, hey, remember in 25 in WWK 2K25 they tried that stupid ass hub? That's just my guess.
Yep. Next up, Stellar Blade, just some DLC and the PC port coming soon. Whatever. After that, Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. I don't remember anything about it.
Me neither. That one completely nothing.
Next up after that, Blueprints, which was... What was that one? It's another one I remembered almost like nothing about.
I think we're coming to the point where I probably checked out with a lot of these.
I remember.
If I'm being honest.
I remember these two. They were in like the middle of it. So every dawn unveils a new mystery, navigate shifting corridors and ever-changing chambers. So it's probably like a roguelike strategy puzzle adventure. Whatever. Might be fine. Abiotic Factor. What was this again? Like, I remember the name and being like, that's a weird name. Like, the character designs are...
indie game.
Yeah.
That was the one...
Scientists band together, craft tools and weapons, survive the only way you know how, kill them with science. Okay. And then after that was just announcements for the PlayStation Classic line that they have, where they were throwing on Patapon 3 as well as the first 3 Armored Core games. So, there you go. Like you said.
Very, very underwhelming.
Yeah. Very underwhelming. A whole lot of, like we said, that might be all right. And then Monster Hunter and, Onimusha, yay. And Shinobi. I'll give a yay for Shinobi, too.
Yeah, I feel like Onimusha was the top draw. The Borderlands 4, I feel like, was a little bit of the surprise one because I hadn't expected to hear anything about it. But yeah, nothing else about this really made me go, holy shit.
And I was even more surprised that we didn't hear anything from the Xbox brand being announced because they confirm a major change that PlayStation fans will love. Phil Spencer is no longer trying to sell Xbox to PlayStation fans as the company focuses on allowing more people to play its games. So the article, this one comes to us from Dexerto, but this was around a couple places. Xbox is focused on allowing more people to play its games. In an interview with Xbox Air, Phil Spencer spoke about the financial benefit of meeting players where they're at in the comfort of their PlayStation and Nintendo ecosystems. He said in his part, I'm not trying to move them over to Xbox anymore. Let's just allow more people to play. He went on to say that there is no benefit to gatekeeping games. While the platforms used to represent the largest thing in the industry, games have assumed that role. That's what the industry is about, the storytellers of all sizes being able to sell their stories through the games that they create and allowing more people to play. I want Xbox to be the platform that enables that. So, yeah. It's clear whether the publisher stands now in the wake of this is an Xbox campaign. For instance, PS5 owners who can't wait to get their hands on Indiana Jones can now play via the Xbox app on Samsung TVs. As for Spencer and Xbox, this expansive multi-platform strategy allows them to produce big projects while simultaneously supporting native hardware and platform devices. It'll be good news for PlayStation fans in the short term and perhaps people who buy the Switch 2 in the future. Bri, to me, it's looking like the end of days for Xbox as a player in the console market. Something that we've kind of all seen coming, but it's just kind of when even the head of the fucking thing is going, yeah, we're not trying to make you buy Xboxes anymore. It's like, well, we're done, folks.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, outside of Halo and Forza, which Forza we know is already
Gears,
switching over, like
Sea of Thieves.
what Gears?
And I mean, they own Bethesda,
Yeah,
they own
it's got a pretty
id, they
decent player
own
base.
Activision now. So, yeah, I mean, they're just gonna get their chunk. They're gonna have a stamp on games now that just says Xbox, and it's gonna be on everything. And you're gonna get your Dooms, your Wolfensteins, your Call of Duties, and everything fucking Activision would have made and sold to you with a little Xbox check on it. And they're gonna get their portion. That's the future of the Xbox brand.
So here's my question. So you're the guy who I think at the end of the day prefers someone go hard. With Xbox, if they decided, fuck it, we're going to go hard in the paint, and all these companies we bought, we're going to make their games 100% exclusive. So your Fallouts, your Elder Scrolls, your Call of Duties, if they really went that opposite way, do you think
overall
that would be
for gaming?
overall for gaming?
Honestly, probably. Well, I don't know. It's a double-edged sword because you want to say at the forefront, probably not, because now you're forcing people to buy an Xbox in order to play them. But I mean, if you don't have access to those games anymore, that might be a kick in the ass for Nintendo and PlayStation to have their own studios make similar but different enough games for their own consoles. So it could breed innovation, Brian. Innovation's important. Breeding's important. Right. Elon Musk, the ultimate breeder. He knows how important it is, all right? Knocking up those trap thoughts.
Like I said, it's just, damn it. It's just fascinating to me. Like, everyone was like, oh my God, Xbox is like becoming this monopoly. They're buying up all these studios. And it's like, yeah, but they're not trying to just make you exclusive. Like that was
Nintendo did that. You would never see anything not on a Switch
right?
again. Yeah.
No. So yeah, like I don't know. Gamers win, I think, at the end of the day with this. But to your point, it will be a little boring, maybe. But maybe this then creates a market where if things get a little too stale, a new, I don't even know what you would call it, because PC is going to dominate for so long. So maybe somebody else needs to come in the market and create a new console.
I was going to say, who's out there to make a new console, though, to compete with anything? He actually did say that he's going to make games great again, Brian, and he's going to start making games with his AI team. So, yep. AI generated with the Elon Musk seal of approval, Brian. Can't wait. But, Brian, no, shut up a second. This might be good, though, because he might design a console as ugly as the Cybertruck, and I will buy that fucking box. I'm not going to spend $100,000 on a Cybertruck, but my God, if he makes some horrific affront to nature that somehow out uglies the PS5, might be worth some shekels, Brian, just for the lulz.
My question to you, Jim, is, I think you and I agree. AI is inevitable. AI is going to happen. We have a lot of friends who are in industries where AI will have a very severe and deep impact on them. But what if AI makes some fucking banging games? Like, what if you play a game and you weren't told it was made by AI and you play it and you're like, holy shit, this is really fun. And then you found out, like, after the fact, you were like, oh, this was AI? Like, will your morals overcome the fact that you might have played one of your new favorite games? Not saying that will happen.
Those ones where after you're just like, I feel dirty.
How'd you feel?
I feel dirty for having done this, but I need to get my nut off. We've all been there.
Damn it. Yeah, that's from the first time to the last time, Jim.
but yeah, back to point of Xbox. You know what? I've seen that I'm in the minority where most people just want to be able to play the games when they see them. So at the end of the day, more people be having access. So I guess that's for the greater good. I'm just worried about the future long term where you said where the quality is going to go down. It's just going to get so samey and boring. But time will tell.
It's going to get very stale. Yeah, and here's the deal. What I would hope, what everyone wants to hope for is true consumerism and capitalism works against this shit, where if it is too samey, at some point people go, all right, I'm done buying this. And enough impact on the bottom dollar goes, fuck, we need to do something different, right? Like that's the ultimate hope. Will it happen? I don't know. People keep buying Nintendo shit over and over and over and over.
There's one man who can save us, and his name is Tommy
not.
Tallarico. Now is the time. Come back, Tommy. Bring the Amico. Right, we can get in on the ground floor of the new grift. Shut up.
Do you think next generation,
if they make a console, which they said they're going to, it has
Xbox?
to be.
Yeah, they're saying they're doing it, but
I mean, if they make a console, if they make anything hardware-wise, I have to assume it's just going to be like a pre-built gaming PC with a big Xbox logo on it. Almost like what the old Steam machines tried to be like 10 years ago, but maybe they were just a little too quick to the party with that. Well, Brian, there's no transition for what we're going to be going into, so let's have a little bit of a palate cleanse to close out this episode, Brian. There's a little segment that the people have loved, but has been sorely lacking just because it needs to be goofy and it needs to be fun for this segment, I think. It can't just be all serious all the goddamn time. Brian, we are bringing back the NormieView.
Yeah.
And Brian, we are combining our love of normies with our love of sports because, has there been a bit of a debate online the past couple days. Brian, is it okay to boo the national anthem of your opposing sports team?
It's okay. So, in reference, for those who might not know, I did see this where the Canadians booed the American national anthem, and I'm going to try to put up the video. I can't promise it's going to stay because sometimes these things get flagged, but I'm sure most of you know about it. And in the first 9 seconds, there was fight after fight between the U.S. and Canadians. Of course, America ended up winning. Go America. And I know we're not the favorite people out there right now, but of course, we still got to support the team. Here's the deal. I'm okay with booing as long as everyone is if the Canadians came to the US and the US boos, you can't get mad at US for booing. If it's okay for US to do it, then it's okay for everyone else to do it, is my point. But if it's not okay for US to do it, then it's not okay for anyone else to do it. That's where I kind of hold my line, right? It's got to be what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You can't just pick and choose. So while I fully understand Canadians booing the national anthem,
right, I don't know why they're booing. It's going to be their anthem soon.
This is one of those ones I get it, but then people shit on America all the time for being like, hey, you shouldn't hate a whole country for some extremist within it. And I feel like this is one of those times they should know better, especially with fucking hockey.
It's our president.
Exactly. So
you should kind of a little different, Brian.
But no. But my point is, what's that have to do with our hockey team? He's got, when you're booing them, we can understand the intent, but, these guys there, do they deserve to be booed? No. And is it disrespectful to the country as a whole versus a certain person in a blip of time? Yeah. So, while I get the booing, you should be able to back up your boos, and they weren't able to, Jim. USA all day. Woo woo.
Damn it. So, for those of you out there who don't follow the NHL, which is America's number 4 sport, right now we're in the middle of the Foreign Nations face-off. So, NHL's having a weird, 2-week All-Star break right now. And they're having a little mini tournament between the USA, Canada, Sweden, and Finland, this 4-nation off. And yeah, it's almost like a tiny mini Olympics. And it's a little round robin kind of tournament deal. And within the first 9 seconds, there were 3 fights during this game because of our wonderful fearless leader calling, Trudeau a governor and saying that Canada's going to be the 51st state and all that fun. Yeah, Canada don't like us too much right now. So they booed the anthem and gloves came off. And Brian, I think we should have been booing other anthems even before this. I love it. Yeah. It's sports. I think there's way too much. There should be honor and prestige in sports. That's gay. It should be hatred. That should be the other team, and you should not like them, and you should want to kill them. It should be like football was in the 80s, where when the Eagles and the Cowboys played each other, they tried to kill each other on the field. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think needs to come back in sports. I think it gets a little too boring when everyone shows respect. Stupid. Not fun. I want rivalries. I want hatred. I want a desire to win. And even goddamn the coach of Canada's team, John Cooper, he hated the result, but he had to admit that Team USA's thrilling and brutal 3-1 win, this is from ESPN, by the way, on Saturday night was a transcendent moment for hockey. This game is in a better place because of last night's game, he said. So 4.5 million Americans watched the first best tournament between them. And yeah, they saw this all right away, all these fights, and USA putting up a banger of a win against Canada, who really should kick their ass because, it's fucking Canada.
It's Canada.
So, yeah.
It'd be like if they ever, not that they ever will, but if they ever allow our football in the Olympics, and if we don't win, it'd be like, what the fuck?
Oh, it's like when we had the Dream Team in '92 with basketball. Like, if we didn't win that, that would have just been the biggest embarrassment in the history of time, basically.
Yeah. But, no, it's funny because I agree. Like, there is a thing of, like, I don't know. I know some sports are like, hey, you want to keep it respectful or whatever. But, like, all right, take that argument further, Jim. Like, in the Olympics, I don't know what the attendance actually looks like at any given Olympics. But, like, if they're going through national anthems of other countries, should you be booing other countries just because you're like, fuck you, you're not U.S.? Like,
Yeah, yes, you should. Now, I know it's different with the Olympics because it's the whole world coming together and the show of blah-de-blah and sportsmanship. And, it's, however many. Actually, the Olympic committees have corrupt as shit, though. So should we really care about honor in the Olympics? So
I guess the closest thing would be soccer. Like, soccer's probably the most international sport, right? Like, at the end of the day. Okay. Oh, you know what? Okay, here's a better example. Look at UFC. When people, decide, this will be the fight where it's like, I'm only going to root from the dude from US versus the dude from here. Or whatever. Like, how many times did, certain, Dagestani dudes get booed because they were just Dagestani? And it was just dudes wanting the U.S. dude to win, or whoever. Yeah, that I inherently don't see. If you're going to stick with someone you want to win, regardless of the reason, should you boo it? Yeah, it's all fair. And you know what? I will say, Canadians, they have every right to fucking boo, and they're not really the whiny type. I feel like you said, their coach even pointed out, we lost.
They're too polite normally.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't blame them at all. So I don't think it was bad sportsmen that they booed. I think moving forward, all countries, you should be able to boo. But if we start saying that's cool, then if Canada comes to the U.S. and we boo them, it shouldn't be like, oh, the U.S. is classless. It's like, no. You did it to us. We can do it to you.
Yeah, one of my favorite boos in all of sports happened in 2008 or 2009. The MLB All-Star Game was in Washington that year, and they are a division rivals of the Phillies. So as they're going, announcing all the players in the starting lineup, Chase Utley was the second baseman that year, and the whole crowd started raining boos down on him, and they caught it on mic where Utley just goes, "Boo, fuck you." And it got caught on live mic and all that. And I was like, yes, you should boo the opposing team that you hate. I am
Yes.
perfectly fine with that. So, you know what? If that brings a little... Hockey has been on the downturn because they've been trying to get fighting out of it, and fighting's one of the best parts of hockey.
Yes.
It's what brings people in. So everyone's talking about it because of all these fights. Like, it could be, like, ride the momentum. This could be the thing that saves hockey. Lighten up on some of these goddamn rules. No one wants to go and watch a trap defense for 60 minutes. It's boring. No one cares. Like, goals are fun. Fights are more fun. Let it happen.
Fights are the thing. Yeah, at the end of the day, fights are the things, right? Like, come on. Let's not pussify hockey, all right? We're doing it with enough sports. Don't do it to hockey.
It's already the hardest barrier to entry for any sport. It's the most expensive one to be in. It's the only one where you, like, aren't just running or walking. Like, you have to be fucking skating, so doing more. So, like, there's a lot more technique to it. Like, you can get your technique out of it, too. So you have to balance that with something everyone can relate to. And going, where we can relate to is seeing another guy and going, fuck you, and just bam.
But yeah, Jim, listen, like you said, when they're the 51st state, it'll be all good. We'll welcome them with open arms.
It's inevitable, Brian. Maple syrup for all.
Oh God, can you even imagine? I don't even like to say that term anymore, but can you even imagine?
Brian, the benefit to us is we can go to Chez Paris now, and we don't have to tell the Border Patrol what we're doing there. And we don't have to get pulled over when someone goes to do things we can't do in America. All right?
Jim, are you kidding me? If it did, I probably would move up there in a fucking heartbeat. Are you kidding me?
I would move into Chez Paris. Quit my job. I'd just go out for cigarettes one day, as they like to say. Just become a janitor there. Just live the dream, Brian.
But you know what, Chambers? For this NormieView, I agree with you. You should absolutely be allowed to boo, but then don't bitch if the U.S. boos somebody else. You can't be okay with it here and then be bitching about it the next time. It's all okay. Just boo away. It's a sport. It's not serious. That's it.
There's so many things we can't say to each other anymore as a society.
Like what?
Let's just give each other something. I don't know, Brian, all the stuff you say offline. So let's just have something that we can give little jabs to each other with. All right? Sports is the perfect vehicle for it.
The only things I'll say I don't think you should boo for is if for some reason they show like military, like heroes or whatever from either side. I don't think they should be booed. Or if somebody gets hurt, I think you should do the like if they're able to get up, you should be respectful enough to just be like, okay, good.
Yeah,
even though we deeply want people to get, especially like in NFL, like I wanted nothing more than to see like Mahomes' leg go like a twig. But when somebody does get hurt and they get up, you got to give the okay.
Yeah, Philly never really recovered reputation-wise from the whole booing Michael Irvin's career-ending injury on the field thing. So we're not booing, cheering it on. So
yeah, yeah, that I think that needs to stop. I'll just say that. that's a bridge too far.
It doesn't happen that often, so it just happened here.
It happens. I'm just saying it just needs to happen less. That's all. I'm a reasonable man, Jim. What can I say?
I can compromise. I can make a deal.
Damn it. But Chambers, between your watermelon beer and the next one, which one did you enjoy better?
Well, Brian, I also topped it off with an orange sour as well afterwards.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, word to the wise, everyone. Sours are delicious. Stick with one.
Yeah, don't mix that many.
Mixing three different together, there is a rumbly in my tumbly right now. So, yeah, I felt better. But they're all delicious. Don't get me wrong. They all taste delicious, but if you're going to have one, stick with one flavor and have multiples of that. In terms of which one I liked more, I actually got to go with the watermelon between that and a raspberry, just because, like, I've had good raspberry beers before, but to have a watermelon this, like, surprisingly good, I got to give it its roses tonight.
Jim, you never go full sour. Yeah,
it's true. Old simple Jim going too full sour, didn't he?
I really enjoy these extra stouts. There's something that about this flavor, though, your mouth gets really dry, like cotton mouth almost, with it. that I can't really describe. So I'm never going to choose this really over a standard Guinness, but it's a nice break. You know, if you don't like, I actually think Guinness has underrated varieties of itself. Like it has the blonde, it has the half and half, it has, there's a few others. But yeah, this is a nice, just like I said, alternate if you want to try something new. Won't fuck you up really unless you have a bunch of them, but it does sit heavy enough where you're probably not going to be able to drink too many. So out of the bottle, I think is just fine. So yeah, really enjoyed it. But with that, guys, we want to say thank you all so much for listening and watching. If you are listening on Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you leave us a 5-star rating, we'll read them out each and every one of these Power Hour podcasts. And if you are watching on YouTube, please hit the notification bell, hit like, hit subscribe, and leave a comment. Let us know what you liked and didn't like. With that, we want to say have a good night, everyone, and cheers.
Cheers, everybody.